is the Detroit Lions wide receiver room. Chris, I want to talk about the wide receiver room. I've looked around on this team, looked at every position.
Mm-hmm.
And the position that keeps, it's not like I think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. But the position that I keep wondering about, I keep worrying about, is the wide receivers. Am I dumb? And maybe it's the 6-game suspension. Where are you at with our wide receiver room? And while you're talking about it, maybe I'll kind of pull up. I was going to say I'll pull up our depth chart if you want.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Yep. Oh, yeah, pull the depth chart too. But yeah, when you look at the starters, so you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, boom, love it. And you also, what you love about him is he's going to be durable and he's going to be on the field. Like that's a nice thing to know. I mean, he's just that type of player. You just don't picture him getting injured. But then Josh Reynolds, so Jameson Williams, that's not right. So Josh Reynolds, there we go, is a guy that is he's a good player. He's not going to do anything. He's a depth piece. But he's going to be thrust into.
When you said not going to do anything, you mean wrong, right?
Yeah. So he's not going to be. Yeah. He's going to be thrust into like the starting lineup with Marvin Jones, who we have to remember Marvin Jones is 34 or something like that. We had Marvin Jones in his absolute prime, and he was a great player and loved what he did for us. But we just got to remember I don't think we're getting the same Marvin Jones. So
he was the fourth option. He was the fourth option in Jacksonville.
Yep. Yeah. So all of a sudden you look around and it's like, and again, Khalif Raymond and Tom Kennedy and Trinity Benson, those are just kind of trick pieces. They're not your every down wide receivers. So you really you're thin, and any injury puts you in a tough spot wide receiver wise when all of us, we could have a really good wide receiver room if it was for Jameson, but he'll come back obviously. But your thoughts on the wide receivers. It does scare me a little bit.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. So here's where I'm at. You have what is truly a top 15, top 10 wide receiver. Top 15, top 10 wide receiver in Amon-Ra, right? Can we agree on that one?
Yes.
So that's probably enough to keep you going. But that first 6 games is what scares me the most, because he's going to be in the slot. On the outside, you have Marvin Jones Jr. and Josh Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Josh Reynolds proved to be okay. Like he was fine. Like he was perfectly fine. But he wasn't great. And he's also injury prone. He was always banged up.
Yep.
Behind him, you're hoping for either, Trinity Benson and Maurice Alexander, they've had their shot. They haven't developed. They just haven't developed. So you're hoping that it's either Antoine Green, the rookie out of North Carolina, or Chase Cota, but he played the slot even though he was taller at Oregon.
Yes.
So I'm here's my thing. Marvin Jones Jr., love him. He's not DJ Chark anymore.
Mm-mm.
Like Chark, and we were missing Chark and I know what people are like, whoa, Chark didn't play a lot in the first half of the year. Well, in the first half of the year, we went like 2-7.
We struggled. Yes.
Yeah, we went 2-6, right? And so it's like, yeah, we struggled. And then when he started getting healthy, oh yeah, it was good. I'm just worried about the get off here because you have Sam Laporta, who I think we all think is going to be a good tight end.
Right.
But rookie tight ends are notoriously slow developing.
Yes. Give him a few weeks. Dude, you nailed it. And this is our only hope, not our only hope, but
Bob, thank you, Bob.
Bob, we're gonna scheme in a lot of stuff, and look, we keep giving Ben Johnson so much props, and as he should. But hey, look, someone put in the comments earlier, they're gonna have film on him. They're gonna know some more tendency stuff. Like he kind of stunned the league last year, so it's not gonna be. He's gonna have to come up with more stuff, but this is what we're gonna have to do, especially in the first 3 weeks of the season, because Josh Reynolds is a weird receiver like that. He's not a go up and get it 50-50 guy, but even though he's tall, he kind of is, right? But he's not a quick get open guy. He's kind of this in between. Are you as fast? Not really. So that's where he's not going to win one-on-ones a lot. You're going to have to get him open. You're going to have to use St. Brown a ton. So it'll work, but man, what if Jameson Williams was healthy going into this, ready to rock and roll? That just changes everything. He's a top speed, everything guy. So
he's a top 5 speed guy in the NFL. I'm
huge.
not saying he's a top 5 receiver. I'm not saying any of that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But I got a couple more comments here that I really do like, because I said Marvin Jones Jr. isn't DJ Chark, mostly because he was, he'll be 9 years older than Chark was last year, or 8 years older. But Dwayne says Chark was average, about as good as Reynolds. Here's the only difference. And maybe Jones still has enough left in the tank to do this for you. Chark, you couldn't just bring the safety up because you had to respect his deep ball.
You did.
You had to respect his ability to beat the corner one-on-one to get deep, especially when the ankle started getting healthy. Reynolds, honestly, is a much better intermediate and short route runner than Chark. He just is. But who's the guy taking the top off?
Yep.
Who is it? And that's the struggle that I have until J-Mo gets back. And maybe Laporta proves right away that he can stretch a defense from the middle of the field. Maybe St. Brown is the guy who's going to be trying to take the top off. I don't know.
And you have to remember that the Lions, I believe the Lions want to run the football. That's priority one. I really believe that. So it's like, well, why does wide receiver matter? Because you're exactly right. There's got to be that guy that gives you a true threat of taking the top off. And there's only, you just said that again, there's only about 5 guys that really, truly, you got to have a guy back. Jameson can be one of those guys that makes defenses put a safety way back. I mean, Tyreek Hill, you got a safety back there. I would have a safety like punt return. Like we're not going to let you guys.
I would like you to line up 25 yards behind.
We're not going to let you take this to the house. We got to make you play the long game. And that's what defenses will do if we have somebody that goes over the top.
That's what they will do. And again, Khalif Raymond, yes, he gets open. Yeah. There is no doubt. So I think we can make it worthwhile, but here's where I'm going to bring this to a little different place too. Yes. Am I worried about the wide receiver room? Yes. For the first 6 games only. I'm worried about for the first 6 games only because I think the 2 answers to Jameson Williams not being there are Laporta and Gibbs, but they're rookies. If they were second year or third year players, I wouldn't be that worried about it. I wouldn't be that worried about it. I just wouldn't. But here's where I'm going to go that's different with it. Yes, we might not be able to have the same aired out attack that we had last year for the first 6 weeks, or at least we have to scale it back, but we have a much better defense. So let our defense play, run the football, right? Like you were saying, run the football and let's go from there.
Yes. Love that. And isn't it amazing just as you're talking about these Laporta, just these players that can pop, Gibbs.
Yeah.
We've got dudes now. We haven't had that in a while. And it's funny because what we used to do is always put Swift in the dude category. Like, oh, we got Swift. And it's like that. And he never worked. So we didn't have anybody. We didn't have like playmakers. So now you have St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Gibbs, Laporta on the offensive side of the ball. Even Khalif Raymond.
Khalif Raymond's a playmaker. Yeah, thank you for saying. I was going to say it right as you said it.
It's funny because we actually have playmakers, and we actually had less than we thought in the years prior because we always threw Swift in there. Like, oh, he's a playmaker. It's like never really was. He was, let's not get into that. But he was, but it's just amazing how many more playmakers we have now.
Last thought. You ready for it?
Last thought.
Swift spent the majority of his time in the slot last year, right? We talked about the guy, Jackson Smith and Jigba, coming out of the draft, right? And we said just because he spent his entire college career in the slot doesn't mean he can only play the slot. I think the same thing is said for St. Brown. And I think there is a world where you either flex Laporta out or you can have, you can have Montgomery in the game and flex Gibbs out. And St. Brown can be on the outside and you can have all your weapons on the field at the same time.
Yep. I love it. So